Hello, everyone. Welcome to our middle school orientation night. My name is Joy Wright, and I am the principal, or as I like to say, the lead learner, and I'll explain that in a little bit, of King Philip Middle School. And with me, I have one of my educational partners in wonderfulness in middle school, Mr. Gussie. Justin, do you want to say something?
I just want to say good evening and welcome. Thank you.
So who's missing is Mr. Kotler. He is with family as they end Shiva tonight. So we're thinking about him, and you will have a chance to meet him sooner than you think. And so I want to say welcome to all of you here. I want you to sit back. I want you to relax. I hope that you have some students with you, because I do think it's important for students to have the opportunity. Normally when we do this orientation, it is in the auditorium, and we have students and parents and caregivers together, so they're all hearing the same message. So I'll give you a couple minutes to wrangle those middle schoolers soon to be in, so that they can be part of this, and it'll allow you to have some conversations as well about tonight as we prepare to say goodbye to elementary school, not yet, and hello to middle school before you know it. And so just trust, we're going to go through a presentation. I want you to sit back and relax. We will share this presentation with you at the end of the evening at 7:30. You will all receive an email with a follow-up newsletter, with a survey that I hope you'll complete. If you do, those who complete it will be entered into a raffle for some KP merch, as the kids say, some spirit wear, some pencil pouches, you name it, there's things all in there. See, I got to give you a little incentive. And it'll have the recording of this as well as some other resources. So if you missed it the first time, we also even have the transition newsletter in there as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So our goal for tonight, as we think about it, is really to give you a sense of what KP values and what you can expect when you join the King Philip Middle School community. One thing, and that's what I hope by the end of this night, you'll have a sense of that as well. So we are a community working together. As you can see, we're all part of this puzzle, and the puzzle is to support you, middle school students, as well as our families. And so there are several key players within that puzzle: teachers, students, parents, and caregivers working together, along with our school counselors, our interventionists, social workers, psychologists, our library media specialists, our paraprofessionals, our teaching assistants, and of course then our administrators, our office staff, our custodial staff, nutrition services, and security officers. And I feel like it's important to mention all of these people, because we are all part of the community helping to support the work that we have here. And so that's our next piece in terms of what are our priorities. Before we go, in that newsletter, there are KP faces. Usually when we're in the auditorium, the teachers will have been in the hallways, and they come in the auditorium, and you get a chance to see some of the KP sixth grade teachers. And so we don't have that tonight, but you do have in the newsletter that was sent out on Saturday, videos where you can meet our sixth grade Unified Arts and Performing Music teachers, and you can also meet our sixth grade teachers. And so some of you, if you're in Quest, have already had the opportunity to meet the Quest teachers. And so please make sure if you haven't seen the newsletter yet, it'll be in the upcoming piece that'll go out tonight. Please take time to check out those videos, because I think you'll get excited about seeing these adults who are excited to meet you. So we have what we call KP's Big Rocks, our priorities. And anyone who has done work or read about Stephen Covey, this sounds familiar to you, where it really says you have to put your priorities in the jar first, and then you let the sand and pebbles and things fall around that. But if you don't focus on the big rocks, your main priorities, sometimes we get lost. And so we have 3 big rocks at KP: student success, staff wellness, and community engagement. And when we think about those pieces, we want to focus on the success of the whole child. The whole child is important to us, their academic self and their socio-emotional learning self as well. And so we focus on both of those pieces. We want students to realize their full potential, we want to focus on designing and delivering dynamic instruction that gets kids excited about learning and applying learning in new ways. Now, in order to do that, we have to invest also in our staff. And so we talk about staff wellness, staff's personal and professional wellness, their personal wellness and their growth. And so we support learning for our teachers. If you are a West Hartford parent currently, you know that every Wednesday is staff professional learning. And so that's a way that we invest in our staff as well. We also support the social, emotional well-being and physical well-being of our staff. We believe that's important. If they're taking care of themselves and they're able to give to the school community and support your children and you students in the way that they need to, and we want to pass that along to them. And our third rock is community engagement. We are a community, and so we look at how we interact with each other, and so we believe that staff to staff and staff to student and student to student and parent to student and parent to community, all of that is important. And so that's our third big rock. How are we engaging in a community to support one another, to support our values of student success? And so we focus on building strong relationships with one another. We focus, when possible, too, to build strong relationships within our community. We have mentors that support us. We have businesses that support us. We believe in community engagement across the board as well. And so those are our priorities. Those are the things that drive us. When something comes up, we say, where does it fall on our priorities? And if it's not one of these things or doesn't fall into it, then it's something that we say, well, is this a thing that should take center stage, or is it something else that we need to do? So I just want to give you a sense of those are big to our values of how we center the work that we do with students. The next thing we understand, and so all of us have what we call a professional learning objective, usually at the building level. And so our professional learning objective really is cultivating cultures of high achievement and respect that nurture relationships, implement equitable and engaging practices, and grow in emotional awareness and regulation. That's what we're focused on doing. And it's not just this year because of the pandemic. We have been doing this for a long time. This was what our main focus even 2 years ago, but you can see it's a multi-year process. And so, Dave, can you just make this screen, the bigger screen, take me out and just kind of focus on this, because I think it's just take a few minutes. Did I do that? Oh, there we go. Just take a few minutes and read that. Just take a few minutes to read that. And so I want to say we believe that kids do well if they can. Not when they want to, not if it happens. We believe that in general, all kids want to do well. And the piece is, can they do it? And when it's just like us, all adults want to do well. And when we can't do it, it's usually because we're lagging in some piece of knowledge or skill to apply that. And so we approach everything from that perspective. We want to make sure that we have supports for students academically and social emotionally to help them do what's necessary to succeed as a whole student. We understand that we have to be, as the adults, empathetic to different student needs. No student is the same, just like no person is the same. And so no one method works in the same way. We want to make sure, as you've noticed across the district, especially if you're a West Hartford parent, that we are culturally responsive, that we are knowledgeable and responsive to the students sitting in front of us, that is important to our work, and that we want to support students growing social emotional learning skill set. Because if we can identify that and help it, just like if I can manage and understand and manage my emotions, that helps me be better as a leader. The same thing happens for our students, and so we want to support them in that. And our most important piece is partnering with each of you. In order to do that, we understand our kids do not come here as empty slates. They come with their own funds of knowledge, just like you as parents come, and we rely on that so that we can help them actualize their full student potential. And so we want to make sure that we continue to focus on that, and that that's our main priority and our objective and how we do that. So just who we are, and this came up in our Meet the Principals question, so I want to make sure that I let you know we are a diverse community of about 875 students. This year, I think the projected piece for that next year is what, 845 maybe, Mr. Gussie corrects me. Of that, 12% are Black or African American, 10% Asian, 15% Latino, and 62% white. That does not add up to 100%. We have like 2 students, Alaska Asian, or identify as American Indian, so it kind of messes with the percentages and not being perfect, but that's rounded to the nearest. And then we have 21 different home languages that are spoken within our school. We have 93 certified staff, and that includes teachers, counselors, administrators, our clinical staff, and then we have 55 non-certified staff members, and that includes all of the people, our office staff, our custodial staff, paras, TAs, nutrition services, security. We have a lot of people working in this community for the benefit of all our students. And someone did ask about the breakdown of our staffing. And so just so that you know, for our total staff, certified staff, we have 86% are white, about 6.5% are Black, 5% are Asian, and Latino or Hispanic. We are at 2%, and of our non-certified staff, 65% are white, 14% Black or African American, 5% Asian, and 14% Hispanic. So I think it's important for you to understand when our students come in, they are seeing a number and a diverse group of people in front of them who occupy many roles. And what I say to our staff is no one role is unimportant. Each role is important because we all come together, as you saw in that puzzle piece. If one piece is missing, then the whole picture isn't complete and we're not doing what we need to do. And so we each have a role to play in our children's lives. Okay, Mr. Gussie, you are up.
Thank you, lead learner Wright. So Joy talked a little bit about who we are as a community, and we got into a little bit about how we're evolving, but this is something that's carried over since I've worked here, and even before I think Principal Wright was here. And this relates back to our Big Rocks as well, but we always talk with students about being respectful, responsible, good citizens. And we have that outlined, what that means in each environment they might find themselves in relation to their school day, from the classroom to the bus ride to the cafeterias, hallways, bathrooms, etc. And what we try to do is to recognize students for being particularly respectful, responsible, good citizens, going kind of above and beyond our expectations. And they actually do the same for us, for the teachers and administration and other adults in the building. We recognize students by sending postcards home. Students of the month are recognized on each team. We give character counts awards. Last year, we started doing positive office referrals, so kids can get sent to the office at times for something positive. And like I said, we also give students the opportunity to shout out staff. And I don't know, I think the 6th grade won last month, and it was upwards of 40 or 45 just from the 6th grade, shouting out teachers or other adults in the building for things that they had done positively in relation to our expected character traits. We build our middle school kind of around a team philosophy, which is not uncommon in a middle school model. So the team philosophy is based on some of the bullets that you'll see there on the left hand side of that slide. And it basically just helps all students be very well known because they're part of a smaller group. And it helps us make sure that we're meeting the learning needs of all of our students, as well as their social and emotional needs. So you can see that we have a total of 8 teams at King Philip. And what's most pertinent for you is that at the 6th grade, we've got 2 full teams, Diamond and Topaz. And then our Opal team is split with about half of the students being 6th graders and the other half being 7th graders. and that'll be the same for next year. I don't want you to be confused, though. If you get assigned to the Opal team as a sixth grader, your classes, your advisory, all of your school day will be with other sixth graders. So it's not like sixth and seventh graders are in classes together. Unless you're in Math Quest, you might be in a math class with some seventh graders. But for the most part, all of your classes will be with other sixth grade students, no matter what team you're on. Yep, you can skip to the next slide, please. So we get students from all over northern West Hartford, kind of east side of West Hartford, all the way over to the west border of town. All these different elementary schools come together. And we also get students every year from all over the world at King Philip to really enrich our community and make us a more interesting, more enriched, more lively school. When we build our teams, we're really careful to make them basically as heterogeneous as possible. So we really strive for that heterogeneity across the team. So the easy one is gender or gender identity. We try to make sure that students that identify as male or female are relatively equally balanced across the teams. But we also balance teams for academic competencies. We balance teams for sending school. So for instance, we don't want all of the students from Morley on one team or all the students from Smith on one team. We try to make sure that there will be students from your elementary school on your team, but you'll also have opportunity to meet kids from other schools and other parts of town, which is great. And then we also try to balance for race and ethnicity, making sure that kids don't feel isolated on a team, but also that they're in a class with people that they can identify with and get to know and learn about others, and just have as heterogeneous a group as we can possibly get across those teams. So once we get students grouped onto those teams, you'll be ready to put you into your schedule. And a typical day at King Philip begins around 7:40 a.m. when some students are dropped off. That's when the building opens. And then classes start at 8 a.m. sharp, and they go all the way until 2:50 p.m. That's when we dismiss. So, vast majority of students have those 5 core classes. So language arts, math, science, social studies, and a world language. Most of you probably have submitted for your child a world language choice, and you can choose either Chinese, French, or Spanish. And if you haven't done so, there's an opportunity to do that yet. Don't worry, it's not too late. And if you need to change, you can still change that as well. So after those 5 core classes, the other priorities in scheduling are making sure kids get 2 unified arts classes that rotate throughout the year. So although a student will only have 2 of those on their schedule to start the school year, they'll rotate through those other classes throughout the rest of the school year. And then there's lunch and advisory period. So now we need one more to round out the 9 periods, and that's the learning lab period. During learning lab period, many students get a lot of their independent work done, their homework or work for class that they didn't complete. They get targeted help from a teacher on team. And if students elect to participate in band, orchestra, or choir, one of our performing music groups, or if a student participates in quests, those also happen during that learning lab period. So an example schedule for a given student is on our next slide. And just another way to look at what a typical day might look like for a student. So many students eat breakfast here at school. Some students, like for instance, if they participate in play at 6:45 a.m., might eat before they get here. But after that, we play a little music at 7:55 to try to help kids recognize that it's time to transition to their first period class. And our diversity club's done a great job of gathering music for Black History Month in February, and then some interesting music, a lot of like female power music during the month of March so far, so that's been great. And the periods go not necessarily in that order. Obviously, they go 1 through 9, but this one has a unified art class during period 1 and a unified art class during period 8. Depending on what team a student is on, those periods might be at different times in the day. And then you can see there's the 5 core classes: language arts, math, science, social studies, and world language, and advisory and lunch period. We don't know that that's period 5 for 6th grade yet. It might be. And I think Learning Lab is probably going to be at the end of the school day next year for 6th grade, but we're a little too early in the scheduling process to know that for certain. But again, this is what a typical schedule example looks like. And I just wanted to say too, regarding building the teams, we do invite or provide opportunities for parents and caregivers to share any insights about your child, how they learn, and what their needs might be, and to help us determine what a good team placement might be for them. Even though we try to have strong teams across the board, but sometimes personalities can help.
Thank you, Justin. So that is another piece that is in your follow-up newsletter, is a placement request form, just an opportunity for us to get to know your child better, just so that you know our counselors do meet with all 5th grade teachers, and they learn a lot of information there as well. And so you can also just have that conversation or touch base with your elementary teacher, your 5th grade teacher, because they'll also relay that information. We collect, and then we actually have all kind of hands-on deck meeting as part of our scheduling process. It is, we take this transition seriously, we are thoughtful, we are strategic, and so we don't want you to think that we are not in the know. We make sure that we follow up with information as needed. So I want to talk to you about some student supports, just so that you know we are here to support students academically. And so a student who has English as a second language, we have ESOL supports as well. I hope that you know one of the things I'm really proud about is that we have this year ESOL in-person tours that will be led by one of our students. And so if you are a Spanish-speaking family or a Portuguese-speaking family, or if you know a rising 6th grader who would benefit from this tour, please have them sign up. Those links are there as well. We have math and reading intervention and support. If your child has an IEP or a 504 or is Quest, some of you may have already attended the Quest orientation prior to this. We offer a homework center that meets 4 days a week. This year we're running it virtually, and we have an in-person one. We offer Saturday Academy. Within that, this year we have a math skills, so students just need extra math support or skill work. We have a kind of makeup, I need to get work done that I haven't gotten done, and we have an ESOL Portuguese group that's running as well on Saturdays. And we have what we call student success team. If a student is not meeting the requirements as we see as necessary, then a group of staffs talk and brainstorm. You are part of that process as a parent or caregiver. And of course, then on the other end, we have social emotional supports. And so our advisory is one of those spaces where students are connecting in a group of about 12 to 14 and with their teacher. Our advisory groups, unlike the high school, don't run all 3 years with the same person. It does switch each year, but they do have that advisor for the whole year, and that allows for kind of a one connection. We have web mentors where everyone belongs for our incoming 6th grade students. They are 8th grade students. We have SEL, social emotional learning lessons. We use the ruler framework to talk about recognizing and labeling and understanding and expressing and regulating our emotions. And then we have school counseling lessons. At the middle school, we do have school counselors. We have one that's assigned specifically to 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, and another who assists as needed with more specific or an interventionist approach. And then, as Mr. Gussie or Justin mentioned, we have student recognition, and we look at that as a support as well, because when students are aligned to our values, we believe it's important to recognize them publicly as well as privately. We have many student activities. So if you are excited and interested in becoming involved in the KP community, and we hope that you are, then there are a plethora of activities for you to be involved in. Over the years, we've had art club. It's not running this year, but we've had an anime club is going. It's like very popular. We have a book club. You just look, diversity club, Mr. Gussie mentioned. Lots of things. And one of the pieces that this pandemic has allowed us to do is run virtual things, and so things that we wouldn't have had before, like anime or Dungeons and Dragons, we've been allowed to do that, as well as continue ones that we've done before, like Minecraft or Kids Lit Team. Mock Trial just had their competition. TSA, Vex Robotics, our select music groups are now, they were meeting virtually, they're now meeting in person. And Mr. Gussie mentioned play, which is people learning and exercising, and that meets now 7 to 7:40, but in our normal running it's 6:45 to 6:40 to 7:40, and it is an opportunity for students at grades 6 and 7. And this year we've added 8th grade to just kind of come in and get those juices flowing. We know what exercise does with oxygen to the brain, and it just prepares them for the day. And so a number of these are, some of these are from students. So for example, I can say we weren't running Minecraft virtually, and a student was like, hey, Minecraft virtually, and we figured out how to connect with Cedric and got a server, and it's running. So those kinds of pieces are things. Our stock market club is new. It's going to start next week, and that was based on a conversation with students as well. And so there are things that happen. We have a turtle club that came from students from Smith STEM School because they had been so successful, and so it's running here as they're supporting turtles. You name it, it can happen. You just need to find an advisor, and there is someone that can help run that. So lots of activities. We want you to be involved. So I think it's important for you to hear, what do students say? And so we ask some questions. I do this every year, get a different group of students. And so we have our 6th grade students who are going to answer some possible 5th grade questions. So let's sit back and listen.
Well, I like KP because it's really diverse and there's all different personalities, and it's just a really fun environment to be in. The teachers are the school, because elementary school you have one teacher, now middle school you can meet like other teachers and you see like your friends in the hallway, and it's fun. I really like how we get to have a variety of different teachers and different people in all of our classes. The thing I like best about KP is my teachers and the friends that I've made this year.
It was fun, and you get to make more decisions than when you were in elementary school.
I think I like different, like the diversity of students in terms of like the different elementary schools they came from, and like everyone has like different stories they can tell, and it's just like really cool to listen to other people.
I think that it's great to have multiple different teachers that know what they're doing and are very specialized in what they teach.
I like the teachers, and I like the students, and I like how kind of we're in like a small classroom. It's kind of a small bubble because I get to like interact with more kids in all of my classes.
The hardest thing was moving classes, because in elementary school you stay in one class most of the time.
The most difficult thing I found was trying to remember what classes I had and where they were. Something that helped a lot was having the map that was given to all of the students, and that helped me navigate.
Of course, I was a little nervous because starting something new is always a little scary, but it all just sort of came together and I got through it. So
I think that my teachers prepared me well, and
that the only really big change is that we go from class to class every day, and there's a little bit more homework, but not that much. Yeah, I definitely was like that too, and like also especially because of COVID, I was like, oh no, how are we gonna be able to talk? Although I have made tons of friends, and it's been great. Like I have a lot of good friends now.
I mean, that there is, like 3 different teams, but still, since there's like a lot of kids in each team, you get to make more friends. It may be your friends, that friends. You can all be friends together.
Well, I started out with no friends on my team, but now I have like a whole group of friends, and they're really nice and fun.
It's completely fine. You are going to make new friends, guaranteed.
The advice I would give a fifth grader is that don't worry, just try your best. And if you have any questions, just ask the teachers. They have all the answers.
Well, I was like really nervous about like, oh, are the teachers gonna be nice, or am I gonna make friends even if I don't have any of my friends on my team? And all the teachers are very nice. Like you don't have to worry about that. There's no mean teachers, and everyone is pretty friendly, and you make friends easier than you think you would. Because I didn't think I was gonna be able to make any friends, but then I ended up making a lot of friends. Well, there's nothing to be nervous about because all the teachers are really nice, and you know where all your classes are because the teachers help you, and yeah. Don't be worried because once you get in, it you just feel so like welcomed and like part of the community, and that's always really reassuring.
I was also nervous when I came to KP, but a lot of students also feel the same way, and so you comfort each other, and also like you, after a while, you start to realize that you made so many friends, and that sometimes even students that pass in the hallway, even like a hi or hello, it could mean like a whole friendship in front of you.
There isn't a lot of homework. There's usually a lot of homework when you leave a homework too late for later. The best thing to do is probably finish your homework you have, so you won't be like nervous about when is it due.
At first it seems like a huge school, but after you're in it like almost every day, you get used to the size. And if you have trouble finding your classes, you can just ask the teacher, or even if you have a friend or a classmate that knows where they're going, you can ask them for help to get to where you need to go.
Well, when I was lost, the teachers in the hallway and security guards would, help me point to direction. Even if you're worried, like, just sort of push that aside and just, like, enjoy yourself, I guess, and just, yeah, KP is a great place.
You feel nervous at first, but then when you start being here for a while, you don't get nervous. It starts to be really fun and you enjoy yourself.
It's that like you should always have someone to talk to, and that you can always know that it's okay to lean on someone or to ask someone for help or something like that.
It'll be okay. We'll get through it. It's not as hard as it seems.
Don't be nervous when you come to KP because KP is an amazing school. There is a lot of amazing teachers and staff members that can help you along the way. So don't be nervous and get ready for sixth grade.
Yay! I love to hear from our students. So we do just ask the questions. I sort of apologize for any background noise, but it's part of school. So I want you to get a sense of what it looks like and what our students think about our school. And so what's next is some building tours. We do have some slots available at the 22nd and the 25th. We are trying to keep it manageable as we work through. There are some slots that are still available on Thursday, the white tour. And the only difference between the blue and the white is where you enter the building. We're trying to minimize the amount of crowding that we've had. And so the white tour enters on, oh my goodness, Mohawk, on the Mohawk side, which is the back, and King Philip is the blue tour. So there are some slots. We will be calling some families, so just check back, because I noticed like for one slot, I think someone said 2 slots and they included the child. We identified that if it's 3 slots and you sign up, that's 1 plus a parent. So we already know that you don't need to put a child in one of the slots as well. We already take care of that. We assume that in our count. And so if you need to make an adjustment, please do. We sometimes call and then we'll make an adjustment, and we will let you know about other dates. We're trying to get through this round first. And so May and June, we will have elementary visits to KP. That's always been the practice. I do not have the dates yet, but that has been confirmed that that is our plan. Each of the elementary schools, once students decide whether they're coming here or KP, if they're going to Bristow rather, then they'll go to Bristow to visit that day, and then the other students will come here to visit, and that's an opportunity where they meet their school counselors and they tour the building together as a small group while school is in session. I think that's still the plan. We will see. May 24th, please mark your calendars. That's our parent caregiver workshop, a day in the life of a middle schooler, where we give a little more information to you about what you can expect, and probably have some specific student voices. Some of our teachers, 6th grade teachers, run some workshops, so you can be thinking about what you'd like to do. And then in August, we have our team assignments are mailed then, and that's mid-August, what team your child is on. Late August, we've typically had a PTO end of summer blast. So it's an opportunity for students to kind of meet some of the teachers that are here, to get all that first day paperwork ahead of time, so that it's in, and just enjoy the opportunity to meet together as a community and say so long to summer and hello to school. And then we have our web transition. Again, web stands for Where Everyone Belongs, and it's our middle school transition program that typically happens a few days before the first of school. So some people say, oh, but we take our family vacation like that last week of August, and I'll say it's okay. We want everybody to be here. We think it's very important. But if that's your tradition, that's your tradition. We'll do what we can to, again, make sure that your child feels like it's a great transition. That's where our 8th grade students do an orientation day specifically for our 6th grade students. They'll meet all the students in their advisory group. They'll meet who their web leader is. They do another tour of the building, along with some really fun games and activities. Last year, because of the current pandemic, we were outside meeting as groups, but that's where we stand for next. I'm going to bring back Mr. Gussie so that if we have questions. I think there's one final thing. I want to do one sense of voices. Oh, I want to say this: creative, effective partnerships. I do believe that this really is a partnership. It's a partnership with parents to the school, school with the children. All of us are working together. And so the one thing that you do as partners is you can be aware of your child's progress. I know that each of the elementary schools has Power School, but at the secondary level, you get to use it differently. And so it's an opportunity for students and families to kind of see where students are, to monitor their progress, to make it a discussion point about where they are in terms of their assignments, and to talk about those highs and those glows and those grows. And then we have progress reports, report cards, as well as conferences. Those are similar to the elementary school. We have a spring conference as well as a fall conference, although I'll say those are the formal times. There should be, if you have questions, concerns, want to meet with teams or teachers, that happens all throughout the year. You are not confined to a fall or to a spring conference. You are always welcome to email or to call to connect with us. And then we want you to be part of our KP community. When there are events, family events, parent caregiver events, we want you to be a part of those. We need you to stay connected to the school. I know what happens at elementary. You guys go all out and then you're like, oh, I'm tired by the time you get to middle school. And we're like, no, we need you. So please don't check out. It looks different, right? It may not be as intense, but that doesn't mean that we don't need you. And even though kids are developmentally, right, students, you're kind of pulling away and looking for that independence, the way that they need you and the way that you can be involved will shift. But never does it shift that we don't want you to be involved. So please know that. You can visit the KP. We have a KP PTO, but we also have different parent groups. We did have one of our parents who was talking about doing it, a parent equity and diversity group. So we're hoping that will get off the ground. And there's just other ways to get involved. PTO is one format, but if that's not your thing, there's different things to do as well. We are on social media. You can follow us on Twitter or Instagram. Several of our teams use those mediums as well. We have school and team communication. Our teams, just like the in communication you would get from your child's teacher now, you will get something weekly or bi-weekly by each of the teams to keep you up to breast and to kind of say, hey, these are things you should ask your child about what they were learning this week, to make that dinner time conversation or breakfast time much more meaningful, as well as any activities that we might have. So I'll say this, there's a parent caregiver book club that's mentioned. Where's my book? I am going to be doing a book club after the break on Phyllis Feigel's Middle School Matters. I'm going to adjust, now that I'm just thinking about this, I'm going to adjust the feedback form to say, are you interested in joining the book club? The PTO has purchased some, so if you can't get your hands on the book or you need a book, we'll offer that as well for some parents. We have a limited number of those, but this is a great book, Middle School Matters. We'll have 4 sessions because it's broken into 4 parts. I'm going to see if the author will come and jump in because she's done that. She is a middle school counselor, and it's Middle School Matters 10 skills kids need to thrive in middle school and beyond, and how parents can help. So think about that. If you don't want to join the club, pick up the book. It's a great read. It's important for you to know. All right. Next thing. Let's see, what are we? All right. So some words of encouragement. Mr. St. Germain, you want to put that up and put it big. Everything's not rosy at KP. There are things that can be improved.
Cafeteria food.
Yes. Cafeteria food.
Cafeteria food. But seriously, there is like literally nothing I can find that is bad about KP. Like, it is such a good school.
Everything is except for the cafeteria, but you could overlook that sometimes. Don't be as nervous because your kid would probably come in the first day being nervous probably as you and make like 5 new friends, and then they'll come home after school and be like, oh, I just had a great day. I made 5 new friends. I loved all my teachers, and it was a great day because it was like my first day.
And even if they don't come home like happy,
It's only the first
yeah,
day.
like you still have a lot of time. Your child still has a lot of time to make new friends. And I just say, don't lose hope.
Your kids are in good hands.
Yes.
It's okay. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Don't freak out.
Your kids are in good hands.
Yes.
Better words have not been spoken. And so someone asked a question in the chat. This presentation, it's all in the follow-up email, all right? It's all in the follow-up email. This presentation is in there as well so that you can look at the videos, again, with maybe less lag. All right, it is time for questions. What are some questions that you have that you need answers to, burning questions? Go ahead and put them in the chat, and we'll be happy to answer them for you. Someone asked a question about wind instruments played in the fall contingent on COVID. I think that answer is yes, right, Mr. Gussie? It's all contingent on.
Yeah, well, we've had our band, the brass and wind instruments have been playing more recently, spaced way out, really far away from each other. So hopefully, we're still going to be able to do that in the fall.
Dismissal time on Wednesdays, still 1:30. Yes, right? Okay, our current schedule is 1:30. I'm trying to remember. Yes, it's always been a 1:30 dismissal because our CSI starts at 2 o'clock. So provided that we continue and go back to the same schedule, that will be it. Clubs, you can participate in as many clubs as you want, as long as they're not meeting all on the same day or at the same time. And so we do have some students that are like, wait, but it's that, wait, 4 o'clock and 4 o'clock. And so what I've seen is people start to stagger. Some of our most popular clubs meet after 3 o'clock, at the 4 o'clock, 4 to 5. We have a couple that meet 4:30 to 5:30, and the kids love it because they get to do some other things and then they get to still participate in that. So really, it's a matter of your timing. Mr. Gussie, what strikes your fancy as a question?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really interesting one. To participate in some of the clubs at the same time, you'd have to have like a time turner, like Hermione Granger had in the, I don't know, third Harry Potter book or something like that. But yeah, so they don't all meet at the same time. Most are directly after school, but there are a few of them that meet later, and they don't all meet on the same day. So a student might participate in one club on a Monday and a different club on a Tuesday, for instance. In the elementary school, all of the clubs were pay to play. Are the clubs free in middle school?
Yes, most of them are. Usually, West Hartford in the past has had a $25 student activity fee. So everyone would give $25 for the entire year. And that is whether you're in a select ensemble or whether you're doing an intramural or a club. That covers everything that's offered. We have not really offered anything as of yet that is required, that is part of our programming that requires an additional payment. Ski club, which is a parent run thing, that's different than a school-based club. So you don't have to worry about that. Yes, Minecraft does play the game. They actually are going to upgrade to they're going to have a creator one on one server, and then on another server, they're going to have, someone tell me what it is. There's a framework. I want to say it's like is it competition? I'm forgetting the word. I know I'm not saying it right, but you know that other one where you might destroy things. So creator versus the other competitive. Maybe it's just competitive mode. They're looking at doing that. Quest. I do not know if they recorded the Quest presentation or orientation, but if you send me an email, I'll make sure that I touch base with Miss O'Reilly and Miss Adina or Mrs. Johnson just to kind of see what their plan is. I know I had the link, but I don't know if they recorded it.
Someone asked about homework. So we try to provide the same kind of guidance that a student might have gotten in elementary school, which is about 10 minutes per grade level. But that could be dependent on the day, plus or minus a whole bunch of time, one way or the other. So for most sixth graders, generally an hour per afternoon or evening is a good guideline for how much homework a student is going to have. If they have learning lab, they might be able to get a lot of that done during learning lab. Some students participate in both Quest and band, or orchestra and choir, or any combination of those things, so they don't have any learning lab time. Those students might have more homework to do at home. So that, I tried to answer two questions there.
So some questions about play. Typically, it is drop-in. It had been in the past, but because of the pandemic, we have had them sign up ahead of time. And it's really, and so they send out a Google form, for example, for the 8th grade and I think 7th grade tomorrow. The form goes out at 7 a.m. And then that's 24 hours before, and then, they restrict it to a certain number of students. So it depends, right? If we can go back to just drop in and play, or whether students have to sign up, but we give plenty of time for students to sign up. And there are a couple of options as well, because everyone can't do 2 days, but maybe someone can do another day as well. You do not pick your unified arts. We are an exploratory program. And so at present, everyone has, Mr. Gussie, as he noted in the piece, everyone has those 5. You have a general music, you have technology and engineering, you have art, you have health, you have physical education. That goes all 3 years. The curriculum changes, but that goes all 3 years throughout. So And did you answer the question about Quest and a music ensemble, Mr. Gessie?
I think so, but to repeat, yes, you can do both. So the way that would work would be a student that participates in any two of those learning lab activities would have Monday, Thursdays, they might go to Quest, for instance, and then on Tuesday and Friday, they would participate in band. And the classes are set up that way. So a typical band student goes twice a week. A typical orchestra student goes twice a week. A typical choir, Quest student, they participate in those classes 2 times each week. Wednesday learning labs, we rotate. They're either a Monday, Thursday, or a Tuesday, Friday.
I love a question that a parent asks, if the kids are getting the same tour when they come with the elementary schools, do we need to come? I'm going to say that's up to you. No, you don't need to come. It depends on what you as a parent want to see, right? And so students, we've always done an orientation night, and then students come back and do it with their elementary schools, and then they do it again when they meet with their web in August. We do have in that initial 6th grade informational night or informational orientation newsletter, we have a virtual tour as well. And so it's a wonderful tour so that it walks you through the exact same tour that you'll do. So if you don't feel comfortable, or if you say, let's watch this, and then you'll go in May or early June, that is fine. We leave that up to a parent decision. There in that also follow-up email, if you missed signing your child up for their language, or if you need to make a change, you can fill it out in that form and we'll be cross-referencing. So it's, as Mr. Gessie said earlier, don't worry, you're not out of luck. There is a form for you to complete, so you can fill that out tonight.
There's questions on there about the buses. So the transportation office will send a letter to everyone, I think in August. Usually those come out typically about 2 weeks before the start of the school year, indicating what bus you'll be on. If you live outside of the 1.5 mile walking distance for middle schools, and what time the bus should be there in the morning and about what time you get dropped off. Someone asked about sports. We do not have King Philip interscholastic sports except for cross country. So our cross country team is usually really robust. There's a lot of students that participate on our cross country team each fall, and they do compete against other schools. However, we have intramural sports where students stay after school and they play here at King Philip against each other, but we don't, aside from cross country, compete against other schools.
Is there anything else?
And you can sign your student up for band by asking on the form.
There's quests for kids that excel in math, but what programs are offered for kids who excel in reading or language arts? We do not, in 7th and 8th grade, we offer honors language arts. What we do have for students who excel in that area, students participate in Kids Lit Club. They do the book club. We've had several students, actually each year over the past, 4 years, we've had students who have ranked in letters about literature contests. We had 2 make it to the final as finalists this year, an honorable mention for the UConn letters about literature. So there's other things that teachers do to deepen their writing interests or their reading interests. And then in 7th and 8th grade, they can take honors if they choose as well.
Just wanted to say too, there was a question in there about a late bus. So in a typical year, yes, we have a late bus or 2. More recently, we've had 2 late buses so that if students need a ride home after an intramural activity or a club, they're able to get home. They have transportation home. So we're hoping to have that again next year. The older student buddies someone asked about, so those are our web leaders. So the 8th grade students that have applied for and been selected to be web leaders kind of function as older student buddies, I guess, to answer that question.
Someone asked about a 6th grade student council. No, not yet, but I'm working on it. There is actually a student who we're going to start with. We have a student advisory council normally in our handbook, but we haven't done it. I'm going to restart that up again. So when we don't do, I'm thinking about each team having a representative, but also allowing, so we have a core group of students, but also for, I don't want anyone to feel excluded, because I do believe people's voices matter, that there's also kind of the other piece that if you're not selected by the team, but you want to attend, you also can as well. Typically teachers, you will have 5 core teachers, and then you will have your 2 unified arts teachers. And if you take performance music or Quest, you will also have a teacher for that. So it could be as many as 8 teachers. Does that sound right, Mr. Gussie? Yeah,
Yes.
just about 8 teachers depending on what you have. If you are in Quest currently, it's your choice whether you want to continue. The expectation is that you will, unless you say otherwise, then you will be in Quest in middle school. You can sign up for Chinese by using our form. So there's a course schedule form in the follow-up email if you want to sign up for Chinese. If you want to change your language, that maybe you said, oh, I want to do French, and you're like, no, Chinese, that would be the form that you would use. You can also call us, if something happens in like late June, you can call us and let us know. We do rely on those numbers, Joe, though I want to be clear, because it allows us to know how many sections, and it determines our staffing. And so that's why we need to know, and we ask so early, because we want to make sure we have the teachers to accommodate the requests. Is there anything burning, Mr. St. Germain or Mr. Gussie, that you think that we forgot? I did put in the school store link, which is also in our follow-up email. 2, I just want to make sure if there's anything burning. All right. So, someone did ask about student announcements. So we have, as a result of this, and I'm so thankful for Mr. St. Germain as well, we have a student video news program. And so they do announcements for our Wednesday advisory every week. And then we do have students who do our morning. We have quick announcements during the morning, and actually our tour guide for our virtual tour is one of those announcers as well. And so students can participate in the announcements over the intercom if they are interested. It really is a great help to me. I think people get tired of hearing my voice all the time, so it's great to hear from students. And so I put that call out, and then sometimes there's students who are like, yes, I want to do it, and they never show up. And then there are some students who show up all the time. So we'll see. Anything else that's burning? If not, listen, you can always email us a question. You can at all times. We hope that we'll see some of you, those who choose at our in-person tour. I think we still had a couple of slots for the Thursday one, but again, it's not a requirement. We do have the virtual tour. You can look at that. And yes, students will tour with their elementary schools in May or June. And if you say I really need a burning in-person tour, after this round, we'll offer some other dates. It may not be to the full kind of glory that it is, but we will have someone who will take you around and introduce you to KP. I know some of you are waiting to make a decision, and so I just want to remind you that if you do have a decision to make at Bristow and you feel like you don't want to lose your spot, then Dr. Ellis has said he's advising parents to go ahead and accept the invitation to Bristow, do your tours, and then if you change your mind and say, oh my goodness, KP is the place for me, then you simply decline Bristow, and you come on over, and they'll go to the next person in line. It's that easy. And if you say, you know what, I went to Bristow and now I'm at KP, and Bristow is like where I feel like that's my space, then no harm done. You've already accepted the spot. And so plenty of room. There is no wrong decision. There's just the right decision for you at that moment in time. And so we trust that you as a student will know that in consultation with your parents and caregivers, of course. All right. Well, I want to thank you for taking this time with us. You can watch this recording. It is recorded. It will be there in the follow-up email. If you need anything, let us know. we are excited. We're so excited to welcome you. Our students are excited to mentor you in 8th grade, and I think that you are going to enjoy King Philip Middle School if that is your choice. I am excited to enter, I think it'll be my 9th year this fall with as many of you who choose to come. Thank you, and let us know how we can assist you and help you. And don't forget to fill out our evaluation, because there will be raffle for some KP merch. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you.